The one performance I can always remember when someone asked me that question was the Queen's Golden Jubilee in 2002. It was a day before my 13th birthday, and the concert was in the back gardens of Buckingham Palace. And it was a very surreal experience for me. They had lots of porta cabins set up as dressing rooms, massive catering tent, as I said, in the back garden. So you'd walk out and you'd see the royal family playing tennis in their tennis courts, and going on stage and seeing the other side of the palace in the corner of your eye was very, very different and something I'll never forget. I remember doing an interview for BBC News on the back steps of Buckingham Palace, kind of leaning up, and the orchestra were rehearsing Zadok the Priest, a huge orchestral and choral part. And as soon as that chorus came in, I stopped mid-sentence and just kind of looked around and looked where I was, and that's the one moment that I always remember. And every time I hear that piece, it kind of takes me back to that. And of course, the concert itself, walking out on stage to, I'm told, was around about 12,000 people. I'm not sure if that's true. It certainly was a lot of people there. And the royal family in their own box. And it was just a awesome experience. I loved it. And then outside of the palace also was another around 56,000 people and TV in about 40 different countries. And so that was definitely the biggest concert I've ever done. And just a really different experience, taking some time off after your rehearsal and just going for a walk. And you realise where you are. And something I'll never forget. And of course, meeting the royal family and the reception afterwards in Buckingham Palace, a huge gala hall and ballroom. And it's like any other kind of party, a lot of small groups talking, and you'd walk in between people and say, oh, it's Prince Charles, stood in a little circle talking to people with a glass of champagne, and there's the Queen. And it was all very, I don't want to say a very weird experience. It was, you had to kind of pinch yourself and remember where I was. And, kind of joining these little circles, you realise the Queen stood there. You have to try and think of something interesting to say. So it was an awesome experience for me, and that's something I'll never, ever, ever forget. Probably one of the ones that will stand out in my mind forever.